Hello, Tracy here with a project share video. Today I'm going to show you what I made out of five of these. I made this. And I'm super proud because I absolutely love it. So let's do a little walkthrough. I did use the Celebrate kit from MercyTiara kits, but I also used a bunch of stuff from my stash, including some things from previous kits. That's where these letter stickers are from, and some stamps from my stash. This is a paper person stamp. Most of the stamps in this project did come from Paper Person. I have a lot of her stamps, so I'm going to walk you through this album. It is bound with the cinch, and the process video is in the information section below, but I'll also put in a little card right here. So let's walk through this adorable little album. First of all, look at how chunky it is. I love a really chunky and detailed album, but it actually didn't take too long to make. I made it in one afternoon, although I did make the base of it the night before, but I think that it didn't take up a full afternoon. So I think that I could have done the whole thing in an afternoon. I started by taking my 5 coffee sleeves and I just held them like this and ran some glue along the edge here and used weights to hold them down so that it would glue into a pocket. That way I would have the option to use any page as a pocket. I did this with all of them because I wasn't sure which ones I would use or not use. One of the things that I discussed in the process video is if you made this album with coffee sleeves from a variety of different companies, you would have really interesting different pages, and they'd be different sizes. Some of them might be different colors and might be even different shapes. And so that might be a fun idea as well. But I happen to have a lot of these ones on hand, so I used them all the same. And I really like the nice uniform look that I got from this. This is how the album looked before I decorated it. So this would be like the bare bones of the album. And the first probably half an hour of my hour-long process video, maybe the first 20 minutes or so, is just showing me making this. Now, as I often do with these kinds of projects, I often make backups so that if, as I'm making it, I make a mistake, I can substitute out a piece. And so I did that with this album, and I actually ended up decorating the one with the more mistakes. So this one, I punched these holes a little bit too big, and then there was another one. I forget what the issue was, but I made 2 replacements. This is actually the better of the 2 albums, but the lesson I learned here is that it really doesn't matter if the album is perfect. Like, this isn't exactly perfect, but this is a pretty nice, even lined up album with the pages really nicely lined up. And this one wasn't, and it still looks really great. I'm going to walk you through it. And at the end, I'm going to give you details on how you can win my extra little album, and then you can decorate it as you wish. So I'll put this over here and walk you through my album. So this is my project walkthrough. It'll give you a chance to see this album up close and personal without watching the full process video. But if you want to watch the process video, you can go ahead and watch both. I won't stop you. So we have a title page here that includes letter stickers. I often like my title page to have a little bit more dimension than some of my other pages because it doesn't matter, because it's not going to be folded into a bunch of pages. So this is how this looks. These were letters from previous kits. The papers on all of these pages come from the Celebrate kit from MercyTiara kits. That was our December kit. I used my stash to find this label. I used my punch for this little heart, and I stamped this onto craft paper, cut it out, and then I just swiped a marker across it to give it some color. And it says taking a bite out of the big apple. So I pretty much had to use this stamp on the cover of this because it's just perfect. I didn't put any tags in the first pocket as the title page. I thought that it didn't need anything. And I liked the idea of being consistent in terms of, here's this page, this is going to be the tag for this page. Here's this page, this is going to be the tag for this page. I aligned all of my tags so that you could see them sort of from the front, all poking out. You can see the 1, the 2, the 3, and the 4. So of the 5 pages, 4 of them are used as pockets, and this one is just empty. If I had extra photos that I didn't know what to do with, I could actually tuck them in there if I wanted to, but I'm just going to leave it as it is. So here's the first page. I used the Kelly Perky or Paper Person stamp set for this and replaced the heart with a little punched from a confetti punch heart, and I really love that. This little embellishment here might be my favorite part of the kit. I did outline it to give it a bit more presence, and I used a Studio Calico label sticker to just write what we're doing here. I used letter stickers from my stash to spell out love, which was the name of the restaurant, and I used a punched heart with the wonky heart punch from Stampin' Up. I used a word sticker that says new and another one of those little confetti hearts here. And that's another photo that the waitress took of Jen and I at our table. Then I made this tag that fits inside, and it has a photo of the outside of the restaurant. And the tag has some decorations on it. I ended up with a little gap, and I didn't know what to do with it, so I just put some washi and some sequins, and it adds some nice texture, but it's outside of the book, so it's not going to add bumpiness or thickness to the actual project itself. And then on the other side, I have this photo, so it flips like that, to the photo of the drink that we had, and just some little die cut pieces from the Celebrate kit, and a word sticker from my stash here. These photos are a little bit too big for the size of the album. I thought that these are 2x3, which I often use in Project Life, and I thought, oh, it'll fit, so I'll just do that because it's easy. I really had regrets, and if I were doing this project again, I would have printed these a little bit smaller than 2x3, maybe 1.75 by 2.75. Might have made a bit of a difference. It just feels like they fill the tags up a little bit too much. I tried to save all of the vertical photos for use in the tags because the vertical photos obviously won't fit on the album without figuring out how to, like add something. So I just thought that this was the easiest way to include vertical photos. Here's the next page. I did some stamping on craft cardstock and cut it out and embellished, and I used another one of those confetti hearts right there. So I'll pull out the tag for this one, and we have our journaling about the restaurant, including the name and who was there and the date. And then we have some more of those vertical photos of the food and another vertical photo there. This tag was die cut with a Ellie Studio die, as was the first one. And I just stapled a little piece of paper ribbon there. Next page has In the City That Never Sleeps as a stamp right there. And then this one has a stamp that says Eat Like a Local with a close-up of the food. Now these photos are actually nice photos, but many of the photos in this album are not very good quality, as you can see. When I bring this up, even when it's printed really small, they're super grainy, and a tiny little mini album like this is a really great opportunity to use some of those photos that might not have come out very well. Some of these photos are fine, but a lot of them are grainy because they were taken in dark restaurants. This one is pretty good, but a lot of them are really not. Using those photos in a tiny little project like this gives you an opportunity to print them at a really small size, and that will sometimes make it less obvious that the photo isn't a great quality. So let's have a look at the tag for this one. This is another Ellie Studio die that I used for this tab. And this one has a photo of Jen leaving the restaurant. I wanted to show how long and narrow this restaurant was. That's why I took that photo in particular. And then we have some journaling on the other side. And I did some stamping on the tab as well, on both sides of the tab. Those are Kelly Perky stamps as well. And there's a stamp on the back side of this one as well. So then this page has, I had a situation here where I had 3 stories to tell. Most of the pages before this have one story. So this is one restaurant, and then there's the tab for it. One restaurant, and there's the tag for it. one restaurant, and here's the tag for it. But this last one, this is a restaurant, this is an eating experience, and then I also had another, it's not really a restaurant, but a coffee shop to document as well. So these are 3 separate stories. So I did have 2 photos here, and I really wanted to include the outside of Junior's. And I also really wanted to include this. The outside of Junior's was a vertical photo, and I didn't want to put anything other than the coffee shop on the tag for this one. I didn't want to put a separate tag in here. I just didn't want to. So what I ended up doing was I used the same die that I used to cut this tab out of, and I cut the Junior's sign because it was the sign that I liked the most. So I just cut it out of that tab, and I put that tab on the photo. So now I can see the sign for Junior's, and I can also see the photo of Jen and I eating there. So I thought that that was a pretty reasonable way to try to get that as much, at least the important parts of that photo, onto the page along with this. Then on this page, I did have some journaling to do, so I just put it on this arrow, and it just talks about how at lunchtime when we were attending the conference, we would grab street food and bring it back to the park. This park was right outside of our restaurant. Not our restaurant. This park was right outside of our hotel, so it was super easy to eat there and still make it back to the conference in time. So now this tag has my experience at the Starbucks Reserve at the Empire State Building. So I made my own tag, and you'll have to see how I did this. I basically used this same tab die that I've been using, only I didn't cut the top, and I cut it again reverse so that I'd have this foldable tab, like an office supply tab, right? And I folded it over because I wanted it to look like this. And I put 2 photos, one of my coffee and one of me outside of the store. And then I did some journaling about my experience at the store. We had gone to the Starbucks Reserve in Seattle, which is really fancy and quite an experience. It's not the same at the one at the Empire State Building. It's just basically a Starbucks that's maybe a little bit fancier and has more drinks, but it was still really fun to go there. I was shopping, and it was nice to take a break and have coffee. These are stamps from Kelly Perky as well, or Paper Person, depending on how old they are. And so this goes in there like that. And then you flip the back, and I just used another Paper Person stamp here that says food tour and put it on a label, and here it is. The back of my album is done. So this album is super cute. One thing I didn't do is I will sometimes tie ribbons around some of the wires, or I might put charms or something on it, but I didn't in this case. I felt like this is enough, all of this. And so I'm just going to, I'll show you how I'm going to, I'm just going to kind of lean it against something on a shelf in my living room. So it stands up quite nicely, just like that. Another thing that you might want to check out the process video for is how I handled this sticker that overhangs. And typically stickers, when they overhang, the back of them can get really yucky because it's sticker. And so lint and dust and dirt and stuff will eventually stick to it, and it'll be all sticky and not pleasant. But what I did here was an old trick from my old mini album making days. I used to make a lot of mini albums. I actually used embossing powder to make it look almost like a plasticky coating on the back side. It's really bright white and clean looking, but also it gives that sticker a little bit, quite a lot actually, of rigidity so that it's not as likely to start to peel off and that sort of thing. And here is the unfinished album that I have to give away. And so each of these are pockets that you can fill with your own tags. If you're going to make tags, my tags were 3.5 wide, 3.5 wide by 2 inches tall, and then I rounded the corners, and my double tags were 3.5 wide by 4 long with a score in it. You could even do a triple. You could do an accordion fold with a triple or a quadruple or whatever. Just keep adding 2 inches and scoring as you go. So I'm not sure how many you could fit in one of these pockets. 2 fits really easily. I didn't try 3. And I don't know, I think 4 might be pushing it, but you could see what you could do. So if you would like to win this adorable little blank coffee sleeve album, it's decorated with papers from the Celebrate kit. All that you have to do is subscribe to my channel, like this video, and leave me a comment on this video that tells me what you think you might document in this album if you were to win it. I'm posting this on Monday, January 22nd, and I will do the draw on Saturday, January 27th. So you'll have 6 days to see this video, share it with your friends so that everybody gets a chance to enter in this contest. The winner will be chosen randomly with a random number selector, and I will reply to the winner and contact you on the weekend. So good luck and have a really great scrappy week.